What is up, guys? Zach here from the Chaos Galaxy, and today I'm very excited to be doing the final chapter of the main Chaos Galaxy lore story, Chapter 8, Planets United. I've had this planned for about 3 years since I started the lore. I've always known how it was going to end, and there's something really crazy that I'm announcing at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. In fact, if there's a Chaos Galaxy video that you should watch out of any upload I've done for the past 3 years or so, this is probably it. It's huge what's happening now. So really excited. Make sure you watch till the end of the video. If you haven't caught up on the lore previously, I'll do quite a big recap, which you can skip past if you are up to date. But if you don't want to go back and rewatch everything, then watch this brief recap. I don't know how much more I'll be doing. I want to make some kind of short stories about cards that people are interested in. Maybe like a little single on its own episode about the Conjurers, the mystical relics, that sort of thing, because I think it does give real depth to the game. However, the lore videos, I'm not great at creative writing in my opinion. I don't really enjoy editing the videos. It takes a lot of photography and sound that I need to go through, and the videos don't actually get too many views on my channel, so it shows that although you guys seem to give them really good responses, it doesn't kind of appeal to everyone. So we'll see what happens with the lore, but for now this is the final chapter in the main story, and we'll get into the recap. Enjoy. Previously in the Chaos Galaxy. Throughout the universe, there are a number of crystal cores, all with the ability to create life. 7 of these crystal cores, in time, grew into planets, giving home to creatures created by the cores, and in turn, the Chaos Galaxy was born. One planet, however, mutated into the first being in the galaxy, Omnius, who sacrificed himself to create life, creating the first creature on the planet Barrow. Fast forward millions of years, and the 6 remaining planets in the galaxy are thriving and teeming with life, except for one. The core in the planet Sindell was corrupt. The creatures created on it were in conflict with one another, which grew so dangerous that the entire galaxy was at risk of destruction. Barrow, the most technically evolved planet, split Sindell in 2 physically in an attempt to end their war, but this only created more chaos. Meanwhile, Bogibooga, who was a creature from the side of Sindell wanting peace within the galaxy, which would later become Sindell, was sent on a mission across the galaxy to Pelisium, where he met up with his new friend Transponge, and they discovered a creature directly created from a broken part of the planet's crystal core. This creature was Cranchon, and we now know this is what makes a Chaos Beast. Bogibooga and Transponge returned to Humongous Ancient Rockman, who was on Gaios, where Humongous Ancient Rockman tells Bogibooga that Sindell has been destroyed. Bogibooga leaves his friends in anger to join Sindell in the war for the Chaos Galaxy. Drangel, the leader of Sindell, was locked in a battle with Pelfam, the leader of Sindell. As their 2 armies battled on Sindell, the Chaos Beasts Stallius and Cerbran battled on Sindell. And as Bogibooga saw them fight, he realised that every creature has good and evil conflict inside them, and he decided to run away from the fight in his confusion. But when Sindell's reinforcements from the planet Chios arrived in the form of a giant space fleet, all hope for peace seemed truly lost. Chapter 8, Planets United. Bogibooga looked out from his flooded eyes in his cave, seeing Sindell's armies be decimated by the Chiosian fleet, when suddenly a gigantic metal ship broke through the field of debris around Sindell and burst into the atmosphere. A huge gust of wind created a clearing in the smoke underneath it, and in the driving seat, Bogibooga cleared his eyes and he could make out Humongous Ancient Rockman sat with Transponge and Aplu at his side. Smaller ships broke through the cloud. Makeshift crafts made from bamboo and stone. The armies of Gaios had arrived too, and then a gigantic jet of energy burst through the cloud as well and shot straight through the Chiosian ship. The bolt went straight in the front and out the back end of the ship, completely destroying it. And as the craft crashed to the ground, Bogibooga didn't know where to look. He tried to find where the bolt came from, and his eyes darted between the Gaian ships in the sky. But then he saw a shadow gliding behind the debris in the atmosphere. A dragon, it looked like. It burst out of the sky into Sindell's atmosphere and darted to ground level. It was a giant metal dragon. Bogibooga caught a glimpse of the rider. He had bright silver armour and a helmet with red markings on. It must have been Talakon, the master scientist from Barrow that Humongous Ancient Rockman had told Bogibooga about. all the hope returned to Bogibooga's body, and he cheered with joy. The galaxy had united, and the battle was beginning to swing in Sindian's favour. Gaius' ships were firing darts at the Sindelli soldiers. Bogibooga at first felt horrified, before realising that the soldiers who were darted were quickly passing out. Not dead, but paralysed and knocked out. The darts must have been coated in a non-deadly poison from somewhere on the planet Gaius. Talakon's dragon swooped down and was headed towards a large gathering of Sindelli soldiers. As the mechanical beast flew towards him, they dropped their weapons and ran. They'd given up. Bogibooga watched, but the dragon didn't seem to be slowing down. Although Sindell's armies began to surrender, Talakon let his dragon breathe a deadly bolt of lightning from its mouth one more time and completely annihilated the squadron of soldiers. Bogibooga gasped. This wasn't the way the battle should be won. Then Bogibooga's eyes moved again in a flash, and Humongous Ancient Rockman's ship flew down to the ground, having spotted Bogibooga, and a hatch opened to let him in. As the hatch dropped down, Transponge was stood at the top of the ramp and held his hand out. "Do not run away like that again," said Transponge. And Bogibooga glided up the ramp back to the safety of the ship. He smiled at Transponge. "Thanks, friend. I won't." Bogibooga began to feel strange again. Transponge looked at him. He'd seen this look before, and he could tell Bogibooga was confused and conflicted inside once again. "Commander Transponge," Humongous Ancient Rockman called over from the other side of the ship. "We still have work to do here. The war isn't won yet." The ship lifted into the air above the gap between Sindell and Sindian, and everyone in the ship looked down at the two giant beasts who had been preoccupied with each other the whole time, perfectly matching one another, but both creatures were tired. But an attack from one was perfectly blocked from the other, and they were perfect opposites. Neither could defeat the other. The last few of the Sindelli soldiers scattered, and as their ship raised up, Bogibooga saw Talakon on his dragon fly towards the two beasts. His dragon let out another burst of energy from its mouth, penetrating the legs of the Sindelli beast Cerberam, before flying up into the air towards Humongous Ancient Rockman's ship. The giant beast roared, turned its attention to Talakon and jumped up, over the gap between Sindell and Sindian. As Talakon flew up as fast as he could, it wasn't enough, and the beast's jump was too powerful. It opened its jaws, about to swallow the scientist whole along with his dragon, when suddenly it stopped and began to fall. The second beast, resembling a horse, had jumped soon after the first beast and impaled its chest and the centre of its giant horn. The light went from Cerberam's eyes, and it let out a low sigh and fell. The two beasts tumbled down, locked in a brawl with each other. Everyone in Humongous Ancient Rockman's ship stared as the beasts tumbled downwards, ending when they hit Sindius's exposed core, and both of them were vaporised in a fiery abyss. The war was over. The beasts had been destroyed, and Bogibooga realised something. Every creature has the ability to do good and evil. You must accept this and not let your mind's conflicting thoughts destroy themselves like the two Chaos Beasts did. There's no definition of good and evil. You must just do what you think is right and be true to yourself. A burst of light lit up the entire interior of the ship. Transponge, Humongous Ancient Rockman, Aplu, and everyone else on board was blinded for a second. They didn't know what was going on, and then the light faded, and Bogibooga had changed. He'd realised that his mind didn't need to think what other people wanted it to. He just needed to be himself and think what he felt was right. Days passed, and the aftermath of the war took a heavy toll on every creature in our story. Humongous Ancient Rockman went back to Barrow and arrested Boominator. Drangel and the Utopanons found Pelfam, who'd hidden in a nearby cave. Orbaid Commander was found in the wreckage of the Shiosian ship, and all three of Boominator, Pelfam and Orbaid Commander were sent to a prison on the far side of the galaxy. Rumour has it that they were left stranded in a prison cell on a floating rock orbiting the planet Roka, and their worst punishment was the guards and locals trying to talk to them all day. Sindian and Sindell made peace with each other. A bridge was built connecting the two new half-planets, and although they would never agree with each other, the planets did agree that war was not the answer to their conflicts, and guards from either planet were put at opposite ends of the bridge to guard and show respect for the other side of what was Sindius. Furthermore, every planet agreed that they would build a statue, built from their own planet's essence as a memorial to those who lost their lives in the War for Sindius, and a reminder to never let this happen to the galaxy again. The statues were placed on the planet Barrow in a specially designated site and would stand there for thousands of years. On top of this, each planet put forward one highly trained and dedicated soldier to commit their entire lives to protecting the galaxy. They served on a council and made it their highest priority that none of the planets would ever have conflict with each other again. There was a big celebration, Return of the Jedi style, all paid for and hosted by Talakon of the planet Barrow. Bogibooga, Transponge and Aplu received medals for bravery and their heroism in the war. And then Talakon made a big announcement. He was ready to reveal his mysterious project that he had been working on in isolation for 20 years. There were rumours as to what he'd been working on. Everything from galaxy-destroying weapons, ships to take people beyond the Chaos Galaxy, and even experimenting with mutant creatures. None of this seemed to be outside of what Talakon was capable of, but Talakon was ready. Today sees a new beginning for the galaxy. We are no longer at war, and I see a bright future for this solar system. A future of peace, unity, and discovery. I've been creating a safe haven where refugees from the war are welcome, no matter what planet you're from. A place designed as a peaceful, hate-free zone for safety, science, and discovery, containing state-of-the-art technology, the galaxy's greatest spaceport in history, and the largest city ever seen outside of Barrow. The most powerful telescopes and research centres in history can help us look to the stars and discover the greatest secrets of this galaxy. I've managed to replicate the technology to create a crystal planet core, and it will be put into orbit near Sindian and Sindell to make sure the creatures that had suffered there stay safe. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 8th planet in the Chaos Galaxy, the planet Teklar. Everyone cheered. It was truly a new era for the galaxy. Bogibooga and Transponge cheered at the top of their voices. They had no idea how Talakon had come up with this, but felt like it solved all the problems that they'd experienced. Although Bogibooga was cheering, he did think back to the battle, remembering that Talakon had saved Bogibooga's life twice during the War for Sindius. But he also remembered the brutal image of Talakon mercilessly killing those Sindelli soldiers in the midst of the fighting. Sure, they were on opposite sides, but the Barish and Gaian armies used non-lethal weapons, whereas Talakon straight up attacked foot soldiers who stood no chance against his dragon. Maybe Talakon just had similar good and evil in his heart like most of us, but Bogibooga also wondered where the Sindelli army got the technology to build their battleships. But then those thoughts quickly left his mind, and for now Bogibooga was happy that there was peace in the galaxy, and he was going to enjoy the celebrations. And as they looked up to the sky, seeing the new planet Talakon glowing above the horizon and slowly eclipsing the sun, he couldn't help but wonder what other chaos lay ahead for the galaxy. So guys, that's it. Happy ending after all. Bogibooga realised that he just needs to chill out a bit. And more importantly, there's a new planet in the Chaos Galaxy now. This will be revealed set 4. This is the big thing that I've been going on about that I haven't shown yet. Teklar, the planet of science. So there'll be a planet profile for it next video. There's going to be so many brand new cards, new strategies, and then actually I think in the video after that I'll do the full planet profile, because I've got too many new cards and I've spent too much time on these to show them just in one planet profile video. So stay tuned for that. I am so excited for it. I don't know about you guys, but I've literally had requests for this for more than 5 years. I'm pretty sure on like my second video I ever uploaded, I had questions saying, "Oh, when are you going to make another planet?" And I've been like, guys, 7 planets is enough. These planets aren't developed enough yet, but I feel like the time is right. I had a lot of spare time over lockdown to develop it, and I've really worked it well. And I'll explain everything about Talakon, the creatures from it, what its playstyle is, why it looks the way it does. Yeah, so excited to share this with you, and I really hope you guys like it. So, Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the roundup of the lore. I know there wasn't much focus on the actual battle, but I wanted to wrap everything up in this episode and obviously finish all the storylines, so that was the main thing. And yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Get yourself some Chaos Galaxy packs. Set 4 will be out very, very soon. And yeah, new planet. Bye.